Layla, you go to Mount Holyoke College, right?
Yes, Mount Holyoke.
Okay, Mount Holyoke. So tell me about the college, because I think it's very important to kind of set this into kind of orient ourselves into the type of college it is, what they usually stand for, the type of people that like to go to this school. So I'll let you go ahead.
Yeah, Mount Holyoke is a women's college, or as some people dub it, a historically women's college, which means that not everyone there is female. Some are trans or on the gender spectrum. And it attracts a lot of people who are very into social justice.
I see that. So
Yeah.
let's get into then what happened. What you posted something on Instagram, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
So what
So
happened? Oh,
mhm.
sorry.
I'll go ahead and read the post really quick so we can see where we're coming from. You posted, you said, if you are my friend and you support Trump, you are my friend. If you are my friend and you support Biden, you are my friend. If you feel the need to degrade those who feel differently than you, maybe we are not friends. And to me, this does not seem like a very aggressive post. It doesn't have any political opinions in there. It doesn't suggest what your view is. So what was the backlash after you posted this on Instagram?
So what happened afterwards was that people at my school weren't exactly pleased. And so they started responding to my story. And they said stuff like, oh, well, Trump wants to take away my rights, or Trump doesn't want to condemn people who want to kill me. And so at first, I decided to engage with them because I didn't want to be mean. I didn't want to be confrontational, like, because that's what you shouldn't do that when you're being confronted. So I did for a little bit. And then they didn't like what I had to say. So what happened was that they then went to a group chat and they started talking about me. And then they started conniving about posting to the BIPOC page to report me. And for those of you who don't really know what BIPOC pages are, it's usually for Black students to go and talk about incidents where they've encountered racism. And that's what happened. And yeah, that's what happened.
Okay. And I think it's interesting that you bring that up, because a lot of these comments that I'm seeing that you had sent, their biggest complaint is that how could you be friends with somebody who supports Trump because he is racist, he's homophobic, he's all of these things. And of course, our conversation isn't about whether or not he is, so we won't go into trying to debunk any of their claims. But they do say over and over again that it's because Trump is racist and it's because he doesn't like people of color. And I found one particular comment that I thought was interesting. She says, "And my feelings are not up for your debate, especially if you're white." So I'm seeing this a lot, and I saw that comment a lot. They were constantly talking about the color of your skin. So what was your reaction to that? What did you think about that, especially the irony between them not supporting racism, but then them also telling you that you shouldn't have an opinion on this because you're white?
Yeah, to provide like further context, so a lot of people before the BIPOC post, a lot of people were making comments about how Trump supporters are white supremacists, or if you support someone who supports a Trump supporter, then you're also a white supremacist. So that was going around all day, October 1st. And my thoughts, so someone did directly tell me that I was part of the problem because I support people who support Trump, especially since I'm white. And I thought it was kind of ironic because, I mean, like you said, they're against racism, yet they're pointing out my race to make a point.
Mm-hmm. Constantly. And then
Yeah.
I think this is an important question. Are you a Trump supporter?
I wouldn't say I'm a Trump supporter just because I want the freedom to be able to criticize him, but then also know on the stuff that on the good stuff that he has done. So I wouldn't exactly say that I am.
And I wanted to ask that because I had seen in some of your replies, you said, I'm not a Trump supporter. And
Yeah.
this is not about my support for Trump. And it's not
No.
about what I think he's doing is good, bad, this, that, or the other. You simply said, I support people no matter who they support. I don't care what your political views are. As long as you are respectful, I can be friends with you.
Yeah, exactly.
So you had there's a lot of comments, and a lot of them are nasty enough that I wouldn't even say them out loud.
Yeah,
Um, but
very derogatory. Yeah.
yes, very derogatory. I think very disrespectful.
Hmm.
So I have to give you credit. You've handled the situation with grace and dignity. You've handled it very well. I'm looking at all of your replies. You had posted a follow-up message to this whole controversy. You said, people are already mad about my last post, so let me just say, I look at every human being with love in my heart. I love you for being you, not for what you think about gun control or abortion. I may disagree with you, but I still love you and will never tear you down for your beliefs. If you choose to hate me because I have a couple friends who like Trump while I do not, then go off, I guess, but I will not begin to do what I will not begin to do is hate. So did you get responses to that post as well?
So I only got one, but it was a girl who was like challenging me on the idea.
Mhm.
Not so much, she wasn't attacking me personally, but challenging the idea, which I welcome, as long as you're being respectful.
Yeah, absolutely. And there was quite a few instances where you did want to engage with people that were reaching out to you. There was a girl who was in your class at
Hmm.
one point who you'd had a conversation with. I noticed that quite often they had taken your private comments that you'd made in one-on-one conversations, and they'd taken them very far out of context. What were some of the experiences that you had with that?
So so some of the private conversations that I had with people, there was one girl, she actually doesn't know I know this, but she actually took screenshots of what I told her privately, and then she put them in a group chat. And then someone who ironically was running for president had posted them on her story with the intent to defame me. And that was, I mean, I didn't know about it for a while, but to know that someone did that is very disheartening because whatever I told you confidentially. And yeah.
Yeah, there was some one individual who you had said, she had told you that people are out to kill her because of the color of her skin, and you had responded that nobody's trying to kill you.
Yeah.
And she had followed up with a comment on a public post elsewhere saying that you told her that she should be happy that nobody's trying to kill her, but you didn't say that.
So what happened was that I said no. I said that I would think it's like so. What happened was that she got upset with me. She was like, "Oh, you totally just stomped on the experiences of POC. How could you?" And I was like, "Wait a minute. Like, I would think if nobody wants to kill you, like, why would that be so bad?"
Right. Yeah,
So I told her like that
absolutely.
has to be good news. I don't understand why you're getting so upset with me.
Absolutely. There was another comment that I had seen, that you were trying to it was a conversation you had with another person at another a private conversation, where you had simply told this person that you don't believe that people should trample on other people's rights, and that you absolutely believe in free speech, even
Hmm.
speech that you don't personally support, because we do have the First Amendment in this country, and that you believe in compassion, and that you're not necessarily a Trump supporter. There are certain aspects of him that you don't like, but all of your articles that you have written for campus reform have been objective. And she responded that you were being a gaslighter with an extra word in there that I won't add in.
Yeah. Yeah,
um,
I actually had a oh, sorry, keep going.
Go ahead.
No, I actually had no idea what a gaslighter was until she told me I was a gaslighter. But what happened was that I was respectfully like trying to tell her my point of view. I said like freedom of speech is something that I'm super passionate about, and I think we should look at people beyond their political affiliations because there's worth so much more than that. And she didn't like that answer, so she called me a
Yeah.
gaslighter.
So I find it interesting that this is a college that supports, typically you would think, being very tolerant, being very inclusive, no matter who you are, what your background is, we should be able to invite you into our arms. But I don't see anybody sticking up for you. Was there anybody that had said, hey, you guys, this is not who we stand for, this is not who we were?
I wish there was, but there were some people who did privately DM me. So one instance was that there was this alum who DM'd me and she said, I have so much, like, I have mad respect for you for being such an open, moderate slash conservative. Like, good luck in your education. And then someone else privately emailed me and said, I can't imagine like going to a school for the first time and having people already come after you. It must be so devastating because online learning is already so socially isolated.
Why did you choose to go to a historically very liberal, left-leaning college? What was the rationale for that decision?
So I wasn't really thinking about the politics. So I went to an all-girls school and I had loved the experience so much that I wanted to continue on that mostly female experience throughout my college career. So I had looked at the Seven Sisters and then one college out in California that was a women's college. And Mount Holyoke seemed like a good fit for me. It felt so homey. I mean, everybody I talked to was so nice. All the alumni were just super passionate about their alma mater, and it really convinced me to go.
So the love and compassion is what really drew you to the school, but then as soon as they found out that you are conservative in your beliefs and your ideologies, which I would like to note has nothing to do with race. It
Nope.
has nothing to do, you are an LGBT supporter yourself. I saw you had mentioned a couple of times you don't wish that anybody has their rights taken away from them. So it wasn't until anybody had found out that you are conservative and that you're a member of the college Republicans in your campus that anybody had anything to say about it, right?
No, not at all. Nobody did.
So have you spoken to the other club members in college Republicans? Have they said anything to you about, the experiences that you've had? Have any of them had similar experiences?
So yeah, I did talk to some of the college Republicans about it, and they haven't really experienced any of that kind of backlash just because they're more quiet about their opinions. But I guess in the past, there have been a lot of incidents where there has been a lot of intolerance towards conservative students on campus.
So what has the school said about all this?
They're taking action. They're planning to.
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
they think this is really bad.
Good. So
Yeah.
that's good to hear. I'm always happy that when a student is attacked for their beliefs, that the school does stand up for them, regardless of whether or not they necessarily believe with their political ideologies. So I see that there was another person that had posted a whole story about you. Do you know? I'm sure you know who I'm talking about, right?
Yes, I do.
Yes. Do you know her personally? Do you know most of these people personally, or you've never met most of them?
Not personally. No, they don't know me, which makes it a lot easier for them to demonize me. I know the one person you're talking about, she earlier in the summer was very hostile towards conservative opinions. She did say, like, oh, if you're a conservative or a Republican, unfollow me. I don't tolerate such intolerant, ignorant bigots. So that one person, yeah, not very tolerant.
I see that. I see that. So you've actually submitted a complaint to your school.
Yes.
You are going through the proper channels to make sure that happens. What is your advice to other conservative students that may have experienced backlash like this, either at your school or at other colleges?
I would say don't engage with anyone. They don't have any good intentions. And know that you're not alone. Like, there's plenty of students out there who have experienced the same thing.
Yeah. Is this experience, has this experience caused you to consider moving to another school or going somewhere else?
Oh, no, not at all. They don't want me to stay. I'm staying.
Good, good. So, do you have anything else to add to the story? Anything that I might have missed?
Yeah, so there was one point, so after the BIPOC post, there was escalated harassment, and one girl had doxed my information. I mean, by doxing, I mean she like tagged me in the BIPOC page when you're not supposed to. You're supposed to keep anyone you're talking about private, and she completely violated that, and so that escalated harassment even more, and people gave clues on how to find my identification. That's one detail. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's it.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to share this with me, Layla. I hope that whoever's listening, especially if they're college students and they've experienced something similar, that they can draw from your experience. I think that the one thing that everybody can learn from you is how to handle these things with the grace and dignity that you absolutely have. I think that by responding to this hate and with hate would just further to escalate the situation. What you've done is exactly what you can do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Well, thank you. All right. Hi, Leela. Thank you so much for sitting down and talking with me today about your experience at your college, Mount Holyoke College. I wanted to sit down and speak with you about your experience that you've recently had. So let's start from the top. What happened?
So what happened was that after the presidential debate, the first one, I had posted on my story a statement that said, if you support Trump, you are my friend. If you support Biden, you are my friend. If you feel the need to degrade those who feel differently from you, maybe we aren't friends. So it's all I said. There was no opinion, nothing. And I got a lot of backlash for it. At first, people were responding to the story. So they would say stuff like, well, Trump wants to take away my rights, or Trump doesn't want to condemn people who want to kill people who look like me. And at first, I decided to engage with them because I believe that when people, you should always just be nice to people, whether or not they have good or bad intentions. So I did, but they weren't really there to look for a conversation. They were more there to find gotcha statements so that they can go and report me. And what happened was that afterwards, this one girl, she went back to a group chat. They started talking about me. They started conniving. And I got more people who were responding to me. And at first, I wasn't really paying attention to it because I didn't want to. But a lot of these girls were Black, but I didn't pay attention to it. I just wanted to have a conversation with them. So I tried engaging with them for a while, and a lot of them I angered them, and then for a while it was peace. Then that night I went to the BIPOC page, which for those of you guys who don't know, BIPOC pages are usually there for Black students to talk about incidents where they have experienced racism. So they reported it to me, and I saw that they had a whole post about me. And a lot of these girls who had DM'd me were making comments about what I had said to them privately. And someone said, "Oh, who is this chick?" with a explicitive. And one of my followers had she spilled the beans and she tagged my name, and she said, "Oh yeah, she's acting like she's the victim." And that escalated the harassment even more. Next morning I woke up with a lot of DMs, some not so nice ones, and a lot of people
It blew up.
Oh, completely. It blew out of proportion. It just blew up. And people before and after the BIPOC page were reacting to my post. They were saying, oh, anyone who supports Trump is a white supremacist and a racist, and anyone who supports people who support Trump are also racist and white supremacist. And then afterwards, it was also the same. And they were like, oh, if you know who this person is, you better unfollow them. I'm not complicit in this kind of behavior. And it was just a mess. I mean, they were going after my appearance, they were going after me personally. I mean, it was just a lot.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, I'd say that the biggest complaint that I see from your classmates is that Trump is racist, right?
Mhm.
Among other things. Here's an instance where somebody says to you, imagine telling marginalized people that they have to be nice to people who literally don't respect their humanity. Imagine choosing to go to a historically women's liberal arts college just to constantly write articles trying to expose liberal bias, which does exist.
Mhm.
Imagine not listening to people when they tell you your words and actions are harmful. Imagine defending Nazis and racists and anti-Semites, effing, humiliating. Um, another comment here that says that saying, oh, that Black people have to respect white supremacists. A lot of talk about racism
Oh,
and
yeah.
your appearance. But what's interesting is in this BIPOC Instagram that you're talking about, the first sentence they say, after that horrific presidential debate last night, a white moho proceeded to post something something that said, if you're a Trump supporter, you're my friend. If you need to degrade those who feel differently than you, maybe we're not friends. So they intentionally took out the part where you had mentioned that even if you're a Biden supporter,
Yeah.
I can still be your friend. So a lot of comments of yours were taken out of context.
Yep, completely.
Yeah.
Or they're
So
overblown.
yeah, completely overblown. And I think it's really interesting that it was a constant racism narrative that they were saying over and over. Well, this is why we can't support people that support Trump, because he's racist and that's violent. And I don't know why you can't see that your actions aren't hurting other people, and a lot of comments around those lines. But they can't seem to stop mentioning that you are white.
Yep.
Yeah, so you're getting that quite a lot. Um, Another comment that said, you support Trump, I wish you the worst in life. I thought this was an interesting one. I respect everyone and their opinions, but not when it comes to Trump. So there's a lot of talk about inclusivity and being tolerant and being accepting of other people, but there seems to be half the country are conservatives and half the country supports the president. So what is the rationale, especially since you go there and these people are your classmates? What is the rationale behind not being tolerant of of half the country?
So what it is at my school is that your political affiliation represents your values. But Trump is a bad guy, and those who are supporting Trump must also be bad. So if you're supporting Trump, then you're a bad person. And if you support that type of behavior, you're also a bad person. It's very circular, the circular rationale. And that's just not true. I mean, not all Trump supporters are white supremacists and racist, just like not all Biden supporters are SJWs. And
Right.
63 million people voted for Trump. I don't think there is that many white supremacists in America.
Yeah, that's an absolutely a good point. And you had a very eloquent response to all of this that you had posted on your Instagram. You'd said people are already mad about my last post. So let me just say, I look at every human being with love in my heart. I love you for being you, not for what you think about gun control or abortion. I may disagree with you, but I still love you and will never tear you down for your beliefs. If you choose to hate me because I have a couple of friends who like Trump while I don't, then go off, I guess. What I will not begin to do is to hate. And did you get a response to that?
So I got one response from one girl, but it wasn't too big of a problem because she wasn't attacking me. She was just challenging the idea about Trump, and which is fine. Like I'll take that as long as you're not personally attacking me. I'm totally fine with you challenging me.
Yes, and you did have quite a bit of discourse with various people. You were happy to engage in a discussion. You were happy to talk about it. You were happy to share your perspective and your point of view. There was one conversation that you had screenshot. Do you mind if I read your comment
Yeah, of course,
here?
go ahead.
You had said, you had responded back to her. You said, I agree that people shouldn't trample on other people's rights, which is why I like free speech. I just want to promote a culture where we can be compassionate about everyone, no matter what walk of life they come from. And even if we don't agree with them morally and do care about people, I'm also not a Trump supporter. There's a bunch of stuff I don't like about him, and ad hominem isn't an argument. The article I sent also addressed that very fine people comment. And the response was that you're a gaslighter with an extra expletive in there that I won't repeat. Um, is there anything that you've ever said that has ever contradicted any of the comments that you made in this comment that might suggest that you are gaslighting?
So, okay, so to provide context for those who don't know, what happened was that I tried engaging with her. So she said, well, Trump doesn't want to condemn people who want to kill me. And she is Black. And so I was like, so I found an article online that talked about how Trump in the past has condemned white supremacy multiple times. And so I sent it to her. I'm like, here's an article that says something differently. And she went off. She pointed out my race. She told me that I was the problem if I'm complicit in that kind of behavior. What else? She just went off on me.
Yeah, absolutely. And I see that another person. Go ahead.
Oh no, and then she called me a gaslighter, I'm assuming, because so I actually had no idea what a gaslighter was. I had to Google it. But so a gaslighter is someone who like psychologically manipulates you into thinking you're crazy by using nice words. And so I guess I was nice. And so she called me a gaslighter.
Yeah.
That's
I mean, you definitely weren't gaslighting. You weren't trying to convince her that something is true that isn't true. And another comment that I've seen is, I'm my feelings are not up for debate, especially if you're white. Somebody said, you support Trump, I wish you the worst in life. And they also followed that up with, I respect everyone and their opinions, but not when it comes to Trump. So there are a lot of opinions they don't respect then, even though they do claim to be very inclusive and very accepting and very tolerant.
Yep.
So you are also a part of the college Republicans on campus.
I am.
I'm assuming they know what's happened to you. I'm assuming you guys talked about it. Have they shared any similar experiences with you? What have they said about the experience that you've had?
So to all the members that I've talked to, they haven't experienced anything like this just because they're not as outspoken. But I did learn. The president of the college Republicans went to Student Life to talk about the situation, and um, the dean of Student Life said that this is actually a very common thing that happens. Unfortunately, it's happened to a lot of college Republicans in the past.
At this particular college?
Yep, at this college, which is very sad. And so yeah, they were saying that like you in this kind of situation, you really know who's going to be there for you.
Mhm. Yeah.
And yeah, I did. I mean, it was a great. I mean, one thing I have to say, it was kind of a great filter to see who was fake and who was not.
Mhm.
And I actually did end up making one friend out of it. So that's one like positive side of this whole situation.
So what happened with that? How did that happen?
How to make a friend?
Yeah.
Okay, so what happened was that she came in, she was like, I come in peace, don't worry, I'm not here to attack you. And we just started talking, and she was talking about her experience that something similar happened to her when she was in high school. And she just was someone who like really didn't care about what people's political opinions were, but she got attacked for it.
In high school.
Yeah, so we just
So
talked.
these are people that can't even vote, not even
Yeah.
old enough to vote, and they're already upset about it.
Yep.
I see another screenshot. It looks like a few people had sent you a lot of responses to that initial post that you had put up. what is your school saying about this? What is faculty saying? How are they handling this? What have they told you so far?
They think this is really bad. My school is planning on taking action. I have a few professors who are on my side, thankfully. I mean, everyone I've talked to has been pretty supportive because, I mean, nobody should go through this. No one.
Mhm.
This is why I'm talking to you right now, to bring awareness.
Absolutely. What advice would you give to other students that may have experienced something similar, that may not feel comfortable sharing their views on campus? Like you said, you mentioned some other people in your club are not comfortable with sharing their, political views. I'm assuming because they're concerned about backlash like this. What advice would you give other conservative students, A, if they want to share their views, and also if they do experience something like this, how would you recommend that they handle it?
Well, if you want to share your views, I mean, I'm not saying go for it. That's up to you. But know that people, if you're going to, nobody's going to, so people are always going to find a reason to hate you. You could do every single thing right and they'll still hate you. But if you decide to say your political beliefs, know that you're not alone. Know this is very common. There's a lot of students out there who are experiencing the same thing. They feel isolated. They're scared. You're not alone.
Yeah. There was also somebody else that had, you'd mentioned that they had shared your handle on what was supposed to be an anonymous page. Um, did that result in anybody reaching out to you about that, or?
Yeah, so I actually had an alum who said, "Oh, I saw all those SJWs bullying you about your beliefs. I have mad respect for you for being a open moderate slash conservative on that campus." She's like, "Good luck with your education." I was a class of 2016.
Yeah. What was the reason that you chose to go to a liberal college? Did that factor in? Did you consider that this might happen, or was it something that even crossed your mind?
So I chose Mount Holyoke because I went to an all-girls school before Mount Holyoke, and I had loved the mostly male, I mean female, excuse me, experience, and I wanted to continue that in my college career. So I had looked at the Seven Sisters because they were a very prestigious set of colleges, and I had a psychology teacher, excuse me, who went to Mount Holyoke, and it made me further interested in the school because I had adored my psychology teacher. And everyone who I talked to from Mount Holyoke was just so excited. They didn't ghost me. They answered all my questions, and the alumni were amazing. They there was just so much love for the school that attracted me to go.
So now that you've had this experience, has this changed the way that you feel about your school? Do you plan on leaving? Do you plan on going anywhere?
Nope, I'm staying put. I mean, if people don't want me to stay, I'm staying, whether they like it or not.
Good. Well, I'm glad that you can be so strong in your convictions. Is there anything else that you'd like to add? Anything that I might have missed?
I don't think so. I think we went through everything.
Awesome. Well, thank you for taking the time to sit with me. I really appreciate it. I think that a lot of other people can gain a lot from this experience, not just conservative students, but any student who might have an opinion that is not quite as popular on their campus. I think you've handled this very well. I think that a lot of people can take some direction in how you've gone about this. You've maintained a very positive attitude. You are not, yelling and screaming about how everybody's being so mean to you. You're simply showing the world exactly what happens when you happen to have an opinion that differs from that of a very outspoken set of people. Now, I do want to ask one more thing. Do you feel like this is a school of thought that belongs to a lot of people on campus, or is it apparent to you that it's a very small amount, a small percentage of people that are acting this way?
Oh, definitely. There's people out there who, I mean, I'm sure of it. There's people out there who do agree with me. They just don't want to say anything because the mob is very hostile, very aggressive. And I don't blame people for staying quiet about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much. I think
Of course, thank you.
this was very enlightening, and I appreciate your time.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for interviewing me.